Hello everyone, this is Plankera, and welcome to my universe. Today, we're going to continue rigging Shalom from Path to Nowhere. So yesterday, I touched up everything over there, and I started on this strand, and I think I said that its little curling was cute, but I changed my mind and I want to fix it. Anyway, hello Vivi, how are you doing today? But yes, part of me does think the curl is a little bit cute, but I don't know, it's a little bit too much. I'm gonna dial it back just a little bit here. Hello there, Yeti. How are you doing today? I'm doing well, I'm just ready to jump back into hair. Because that's always hair. Okay. So yes, I'm gonna touch out that tiny strand there today, and then I will move on to some scarier stuff, because I think it is time to tackle this strand, which always gives me a lot of trouble, so I might be procrastinating slightly. But it's okay. I need to get this strand looking good at some point, so it's fine, right? Anyway, just gonna follow the angles here a little bit better. Alright. Well, you should probably go do it then. Okay. Alright. Well, good luck with that. Have fun. Okay, there we go. That is looking a little bit better, I think. Still, maybe a little bit too much curl on the bottom there. Actually, I think before I do anything else, I'm just going to check the mesh and see what it has to say. See where I'm not quite getting the angles right. Yeah, this one needs to come up a little bit, and this one too. This one down a little bit. All these subtle little things that need to be done. Let me see here. Okay, I think that's looking alright. Let's see if it looks good when I zoom out still. If it does. Yeah, I think that's fine. And then I just need to lessen this curl in the corner just a little bit here. I'm a little bit sad, because I did think the little curl was cute. Oh well, thank you for the sheep. It's very fluffy. Oh yes, I did think the curl was kind of cute, but I don't know. It was a little bit too squirmy. Well, that's very nice of it. Yeah, and even here, I think it's still just a little bit too squirmy. So I'll just go in and just bring it down just a little bit. Make it not curl quite as much. I guess hair doesn't have to defy gravity. You know, I mean, it clearly can sometimes. I mean, just look at Shalom's hair. It's super floofy. But I guess here it doesn't have to. And that's one thing that's kind of nice about anime hair, is that you can do pretty much whatever you want with it. Anime hair truly can defy gravity. And honestly, as gravity-defying hair goes, Path to Nowhere's designs are pretty tame. Some of them go hard. I mean, especially within, like, VTubing spheres. Just because, for the most part, people only see from, like, the shoulders up. Like, around here. So everything that goes in this area tends to be exaggerated, like, tenfold, and so people do a lot of ridiculous stuff with hair. I think it's pretty funny. I decided to go fairly tame on mine, personally. I wanted it to be kind of shiny. So I just kind of focused on the color more so than the shape. Okay, Tiny Strand is done. Time to go to Scary Strand. Alright. Just double checking what I have again. Because yesterday I thought I did pretty much everything from about here. So today I'll be looking at where it transitions to the white. But I just figured I'd give it a quick look over first. It's like I do make jokes about procrastination, but this time I'm actually not procrastinating. Like, for real, for real. Because these are just things I want to check before I declare myself finished. Actually, check the diagonal here. So, what I'm looking at here is there's this little spot on, like, the outer edge right here that doesn't quite line up with the upper left and the left. So I'm taking a moment to figure out which one is correct and which one needs adjustment. This is a very important decision, so I'm doing some very intense staring in order to figure out exactly what needs to be done here. Okay, so right now I think the upper left looks a little bit better. So I'll be adjusting the left to line up with the upper left a little bit better. So let's see here. Looks like some of these vertices a little further down here just need to come out a little bit more. And I think that's about the extent of the changes. Maybe a little bit more around the highlight too. Just stretch that out just a little bit here. And I'll just send that little bit of stretching all the way down. And get everything nice and smooth all along the way. My poor headphones are really dying. It's like for a while I was kind of able to twist the ear cup in a certain position where I could get sound in both ears again. but can't do that anymore. So alas, I will have sound in one ear until I get around to fixing them. Or getting new ones, more likely. It's a bit unfortunate. These headphones have served me well, and they have seen many things. They survived toddlers. I think toddlers and being knocked off my computer a couple of times is what did him in the end. Alas, poor headphones. But it's okay. They served me well. And hopefully the next pair will have a little bit of an easier time since the kids are a little bit older now. They're less likely to get into my stuff. Man, I swear, little kids can be fast. It's like I look away for 5 minutes and suddenly they're just in all the shenanigans. It's like with the way my husband and I's sleep schedules are set up. In the mornings he's sleeping in because he stays up really late to get stuff done. And I always tell the kids to stay downstairs as to avoid disturbing him, so this way he can actually get some sleep. And I swear, sometimes I just look away for a second and one of them is just like halfway up the stairs. They're very determined to get into mischief. Honestly, the fact that my headphones survived this long, I think is a testament to how strong they truly were. But I still have sound in one ear, so they're hopefully functional until I can pick up a new one. Okay, so I think I've mostly fixed all the things that I wanted to here. The main thing was that it just wasn't lining up perfectly with the left head turn. In this case, I think that was more because the left head turn was incorrect. So I adjusted it from there, and now I think things are looking much better. So now it's just a matter of fixing this area, and okay. Gonna have to take this slow. I always try to take the strand a little bit too fast. And so I end up making things a lot harder for myself than I need to. So I'm just gonna take things slow. Nice and slow. Let's see, do I want to start from the top or from the left? That's actually... because normally the way I do this is I look at the left and then I have it kind of move up. But in this case, I think I'm going to start from the top and have it move left. And I'll work on lining things up from there first. I'm just going to do one direction for now. Do one direction at a time. Make things a little bit simpler for my brain. So far I've been finding that method a little bit easier to deal with. Of just get it lined up with one and then worry about the other and the diagonal afterward. I might still check them occasionally just because I like to, but for the most part I'm just going to be concerned with lining it up with the one angle. So far so good though. Normally this area just really doesn't like to come together, but right now it's actually moving pretty well. I feel like I can see where the problems are, and every adjustment I make makes a little bit of a difference. So that's always nice. And I know part of the problem here was just that, with the way I had to move things in the mesh group, that this strand probably got pulled down really, really hard. I'm not going to worry about the tip yet, so I'm just going to start with this area. Probably the area... Let's see. How am I going to divide this up into chunks to think about? First, the transition itself. Then the area around this highlight. And then the area around this loop. So, 3 separate little areas that I'll be paying attention to. That tends to be how I think about things, of some of these very distinct landmarks that I can look at and compare what's happening around them to. I was just thinking about this earlier today, and that I think some people misunderstand the purpose of proportion in art, especially when it comes to drawing figures. And early on, you know, when artists are first getting started, I see this on pretty much any art group that I've ever tried to join, that a lot of the times they don't really know what to comment on or what would really make art look better. And because they're also typically in communities with other beginners, all they see is like some proportion problems, or they can recognize some of those low-hanging fruit that's easy to identify. Because like when you look at a picture of a face, for example, and you notice that one eye is much bigger than the other, like just for fun, if I just went ahead and did something like this, like, you'd be able to tell this looks wrong. It's not very hard to say that looks wrong. Any beginner can see that that looks wrong. And so I think a lot of people just get caught in proportions because it's easy to understand. And so when... Very intense side-eye, yes. And so I see a lot of people just get really caught up in proportions and all of that, as opposed to actually what goes into constructing the body correctly or any of that stuff. Or, you know, better yet, composition of the piece, or character design, or some of this more abstract stuff that's way more important than just, is her arm too long? But whenever I join a beginner or art communities with a lot of beginners, I just always see people commenting heavily on proportion. And you could say it makes the importance of proportion disproportionate. And I had this problem a lot when I was first getting started, in that I really obsessed over the proportions in pretty much everything that I was drawing, to the detriment of many other things. And that's not to say that proportions aren't important. They are. They are a very important thing to learn early on, and getting them right will definitely help a beginner improve, but I don't know. I think people get overly fixated on it. And I do think a lot of that is just because it's easy to see, and it's easy to understand. But at the same time, keeping everything proportionate and the angles roughly correct is pretty much what rigging is, so... Just gotta keep everything moving together. This back hair is really distracting me. Okay. We're gonna be just very slightly bald. Okay, there we go. Now I can see a little bit better. If I remember correctly, when I was working on the last turn that I was doing, the upward head turn, I believe, I said that I think I was starting to understand the strand a little bit better. And, right now it actually really does feel like it's coming together much easier than it used to in the past. So maybe I am starting to reach an understanding with this strand. Maybe it'll be a little bit kinder to me. Wouldn't that be wonderful? I know a lot of this is just because there's a lot of detailed texturing on the hair here, and it's a little bit different than the other hair. It almost looks a little bit rougher to me. That's the best way I can describe it. So I am wondering if that's part of the reason that I always have a little bit of trouble here. Just because it does actually need to move a little bit differently. This is where I say it's okay, vertices. It's okay to be a little bit weird. I'll still help you find the right place. Just might take me a little bit more effort than some of the other ones. But honestly, here it's just coming. So that's really nice. It's like I made procrastination jokes earlier. And indeed, the strand does scare me a little bit, but, I don't know, so far so good. Cool. I'm not gonna complain. I'll just take this as a sign that I have learned something. My brain understands something a little bit better now. So I'm just able to go down the strand without getting fixated on silly things. We'll see how it does when it comes time to compare it to the left head angle. But for now, yeah, so far so good. So far so good. Alright, so when I was talking about the 3 areas that I was looking at, I've already gone through 2 of them. Now I just have this one around the loop. I might actually end up having to hide the side hair soon since it's overlapping here. Actually, I'll just go ahead and do that. We'll be slightly more bald now. As I head on down this strand. So this part's always a little bit weird to work with. This might be where I start consulting the mesh. Just because, yeah, that little loop maybe should have been separated if I wanted to make my life a little bit easier. Just because lining everything up just right is always a little bit of an adventure. And I remember when I meshed this that I didn't line the vertices up quite right, so there's a little crooked spot in there. Just making things a little bit harder than they need to. But, yeah. Let's see. And then we have the thin part of the strand sticking out there, and that'll be another little section, but man, I just flew through this one this time. I remember the last one that I did, I think I had to spend like 2 or 3 days on it. Just getting that right, because I just could not figure out some of the angles. But now it's just already here. Awesome. I'm more surprised than anything, but I'm certainly not going to complain. Makes me wonder if there's going to be a huge curveball when I go and start worrying about the left head turn. Okay, all of this needs to be a little bit higher. So with this loop in particular, the parts that I need to pay the most attention to is where it starts and where it ends. Make sure that it is at the right vertical location there. And I can see that the highlight here is also getting a little bit compressed. So I'll make sure to pull him down too. So I'm trying to maintain the overall height of all of this. And it's like this is lining up with the top view, so in theory, they should be roughly the same vertically, with maybe the upper left head turn being slightly lower, just due to the angle of her head here. That's why a lot of the times when I, do serious testing, I like to have her chin in frame, so that this way I can see roughly how far everything is turning, and whether or not it's moving roughly the same amount as her chin. So I do want them to be moving roughly the same amount. And that is the difference between a turn that looks a little bit more three-dimensional and a turn that just looks like a bunch of random stuff moving around. Actually, I think I'm gonna consult the mesh now. Let me make sure that I'm having all of these be roughly the same distance apart. Yep, I could see, because you can see here that these are not all equidistant. There's a little bit more space between these two. Okay, but that's actually a problem here. This one should be a little bit lower. But still, similar idea of where I want to try to maintain a roughly the same amount of distance between each of these vertices in order to make things not look like they're sliding around too much. Yep, there we go. That's a bit better. Let's see, do I still see that little bit of weird bubbling if I zoom out? Not at all. Okay, I'm not gonna worry about it then. Look, some things are only visible because I'm zoomed into like 500%. But if I can't see it when I'm zoomed out to 100%, then, you know, not gonna worry about it. That's just getting into the weeds, and then I can't, you know, where you can't see anything, and you lose all perspective, and just focus on stuff that doesn't matter at all. I'm not actually sure where that English idiom came from, but it seems oddly appropriate. Just the amount of time that people spend on caring for lawns is just baffling to me. Just the amount of man hours that goes into mowing the lawn, weeding the garden. I can understand if you actually, like, keep flowers and stuff, but if you just have grass, it's like... Does it really matter if there's, like, a bunch of dandelions or... some of these other types of plants in them? I don't know, I don't get it. I was thinking about this a lot the other day, too, when I was having a bit of insomnia. Of just, people seem to put these really arbitrary expectations and, responsibilities on people. And then they also seem to go and, like, how do I describe it? Ignore the things that are actually, like, important to them in favor of these, like, super arbitrary responsibilities thrust on them. Like, mowing the lawn. And I'm just like, why? Like, man, I remember I was having a conversation with my dad the other day about fixing my sleep schedule and being awake when normal people are awake. Not gonna happen anytime soon, but still, it's like, I remembered he made a comment of like, and yeah, you can still do stuff with your husband, like, a few hours a week. And I'm like, wait, a few hours a week? We do stuff together a few hours every day. It's like, this is the person that I decided that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. There were, like... Other than maybe my kids, there's, like, no one more important in my life here. Why would I want to be making time for other people? And then to have less time for him? That just makes no sense to me. And so I just find those kinds of mentalities kind of baffling of, I don't know, I guess I'm just sitting here trying to min-max the things that I like about life and, reduce the things that I don't. Which is why I don't do things like weed the garden. Or mow the lawn. I mean, to be fair, I don't have a lawn to mow anymore. I covered it up with rocks. But, that's why I covered it up with rocks, you know? It's one of those things. And I just see people putting all this effort into things that they don't care about, or people that they don't even seem to like, and in doing so, they have less energy for the people that they do like and the people that they do want to be around. And because they're, you know, presumably friends with those people, they just kind of assume that they won't just arbitrarily leave them, and that they'll just be around whenever they want, and so it's kind of okay to not give them the amount of attention, to give them a certain amount of attention or whatever, and instead focus their energy on these people that just do not care, and I think it's deeply unfortunate. I always prefer to maximize the good people in my life. That is why it's like when it comes to all the other things that I do, I always try to make a point of never sacrificing my family or my sleep. Sleep is necessary for health. Because I am too old. It's like if you're, like, 20 or younger, it's like, yeah, you can probably get away with less sleep periodically, but I've kind of reached the point in my life where if I do not get enough sleep, especially for an extended period of time, I really start feeling it. So I try not to sacrifice that. Trying to be a little bit more cognizant of my health as I get older. I'd like my body to last as long as it can. And my mind, too. Gotta work out both. I'm better about doing it with my brain. My body is, like, ridiculously out of shape. Someday I will be able to go for walks again, but that day's not today. Got too many things I gotta do. But I can at least make sure I go to bed at a time that lets me get 8 hours of sleep. I was gonna say a reasonable time, but no, that's not happening at all. I go to sleep at like 2 to 3 in the afternoon, so I wouldn't call that particularly reasonable. I guess there we go. Minor tips on how to optimize life. Do not weed. Who cares about how the lawn looks? It doesn't really matter unless you're the type that gets some amount of satisfaction from it. Like, I know that there are people that make super elaborate gardens that are really pretty. And for them, that is a genuine creative outlet, and I'm like, okay. Yes. Weeding the garden is part of optimizing life for you. That's fine. It's different. It's like how I don't tend to enjoy talking about food, but if I talk about food with a chef, it's totally different. Totally different. Meanwhile, man. Already getting down there. I did not expect this to go this well today. Oh, man. And maybe I really can finish the right side today. That'd be pretty fantastic. I'm hoping that the other turns go a little bit more smoothly than this one did. But overall, I felt like this one went pretty well, and that each one that I do get a little bit faster. So that does bode well for the future, but still, there's a lot of hair to go through. And I just feel like I've been staring at it for so long, I'm starting to get hair in my nightmares. Just giant piles of it just coiling up everywhere. I have to sort through it all. I guess to an extent that could also come from sleeping on my hair wrong. So I have a huge amount of hair too. Anime hair in real life. Okay, how's it doing? I think I still got a few crunchies to work out, but I want to see how the movement itself looks. Because, yeah, I actually like the way this little bit here kind of looks like it's twisting. Where it's like super round, got a big old curl right here, and then as I turn this way, it becomes a little bit straighter. And at least to me, it looks like the curl is kind of coming forward. And I think that looks pretty neat. Just one of those little tiny touches that I think can make head turns like this look just a little bit better. This is one where it's like her head isn't turning that much, so I probably could have left it the same, but nah, I like the way this looks. I think it looks nice. Alright, let me take a look around here again. Okay, I actually think that's looking alright. So let's go ahead and check up and down. Yeah, I was kind of afraid of that. Okay, so I need to, like, push everything upward. Let me see, where does it start stretching? Like, right about here. So everything from below there needs to be pushed up. It's okay, I kind of figured that there'd be some kind of shenanigan when it came to comparing it to the left turn. There was no way this strand was going to be that easy, right? Okay. But honestly, as shenanigans go, this one's not that bad. And now that I look more closely at the top head turn, it did seem like the tip of it was a little bit low. So it makes sense. Let me see if that's a good amount of vertical movement before I go and just kind of fix everything else up. Yeah, I feel like the loop here is also a little bit too low. Okay. So we gotta push a few things up. That's alright, I can do that. We can just push all these little vertices upward, lift them up. Try to keep the spacing right, so this way they have enough personal space. And things aren't just overly crowded and kind of uncomfortable to be in. Try to get all these little curls in the hair right, make them nice and playful. Make all the vertices look like they're having a good time. There we go, something like that. I think it might be moving up a little bit too much. The tip, that is. So I'm going to stretch that out a little bit, and then there's some parts that I think need to go a little bit higher up. That's why I said the tip needed to be a little bit lower, but I do think that there are certain parts here and there that need to be a little bit higher up. Okay, and yeah, once I clean that up, that should look pretty good. This little spot right here I think needs to be higher up. It doesn't look like it's moving upward at all. And I don't think the stuff through this area needs to move very much. Like, we're kind of reaching the point where it's kind of looking like it's slightly in the back of her head. So if anything, like some stuff down, it might make some sense for the stuff down here to move downward, but I think I still want it to be moving upward slightly, even down there. The back hair will definitely be moving downward, but... Alright. Just little things to think about. I think it's enough on the side of her head that I don't want even the back parts to be moving downward. It's like the hair on the very, very back of her head definitely needs to be moving downward. Because it's like if you actually look at a head here, it's like The front bank here would obviously, if you move your head up, your front bank here will obviously be moving up. But the hair is attached, or the hair on the back is attached at the back of your head. And when your chin is going up and your forehead's going up, the back of your head is going down. So just little considerations like that. That's how you figure out how these head angles should move. And if it helps, sometimes I do the movement myself. And just put my fingers near whatever part that I'm looking at and all that, and it gives me some idea of how everything on my own face is moving. And it's like my hair's long enough that I can just grab it. Feel how it's moving that way. Similar to art advice that I see a lot and also personally believe in. Of when you're drawing an expression on the character, do the expression yourself. Even if it makes drawing in public a little bit awkward sometimes. It's worth it. The expression will be so much better, I promise. I think getting weird stares from people is just part of the artist experience. Since artists do tend to be a little bit weird. Alright, time to consult the mesh a little bit more. Consult the mesh. Ignore all of the little weird spots, bald spots, from having to hide the hair at various places. I admit this area looks pretty funny when I have to hide the side bank. Of just, you see this dark spot here, just randomly dipping into her eyes. This is one of those little things that I think amuses me more than it should. Alright, so I'm going through here and trying to lift up the various areas that I thought were a little bit too low. Just going back over everything, because in this case, and in general, I do try to not move each piece a little bit too much. Like, I try to keep every change when I'm at least doing detailed edits and just trying to smooth everything out and make everything look nice. I tried to make my edits fairly small and fairly gentle, just because I find it easier to change them afterwards. And I can just kind of take it step by step instead of getting stuck. Of just on a point where I move it too far. Okay, better move it back a little bit. Oh, I moved it too far. Better move it back a little bit. And getting stuck in a cycle of doing that, of just moving the same couple of vertices back and forth repeatedly. Alright, even if I'm still consulting the mesh, I wanted to see progress here. I still don't think this is moving up high enough. So I'm going to come back over here and continue making overall fairly gentle movements to try to get this white transition into the right place. And then once I get that part into the right place, I can start getting everything else. It's like I am going back into the area with this highlight, but that's fine. I can do them at roughly the same time. I don't think I want to go down all the way to the loop, though. The main reason being is just that once I have those two locations looking good, then it'll be easier to find where the loop here should be relative to all those other strands. Still feel like it should be a little bit higher. Makes me wonder how it got so low, but I actually have a pretty good idea of how it got so low. I was perhaps a little bit too gung-ho with my movement on the initial mesh group kind of sketch. Perhaps push the side down a little bit too hard. Makes me think, okay, maybe I should have started comparing it to the left side instead of the top side. But I kind of hoped that lining everything up with the top side would get me the right amount of vertical movement, but alas, it seems that was not the case. I really did think that everything was going a little bit too smoothly as I worked on that comparison to the top side. This is about more what I expected. Yeah, there we go. That looks like about the right amount of vertical movement. Okay, yeah, that looks pretty good at the top of the color transition there. So now I can start working my way down again. First, I just need to kind of fix up all the other little things happening here. Because, I mean, if you really zoom in, just look how many different colors there are here. There's this dark area here, there's this light area here, there's this color over here, this one here. And this one here is a little bit different from the one here. And also different from the one here. And over here. So there's lots and lots of little tiny color changes throughout all that. And I'm trying to kind of be aware of where they all are. So this way, hopefully, I will get them all into the right place. And it's funny, all those little color changes, I was just describing the ones on the purple part of her hair. Didn't even talk about the color changes on the white part. Because there's a lot. There's so many. That's why I'm having to spend so much time on the hair, just getting it all right, making sure that all of these tiny little pieces line up in every direction. Okay, so it looks like my dream of finishing that strand in one day is probably not going to happen. But it's okay, I did my best. I did better than I thought I was going to. Man, it's going that much higher here. Okay, I'm gonna have to think about this for a second here. Yeah, I really did not send this one very high. I guess I can understand since it is kind of on the back of her head. Okay, let me actually think about this a little bit longer here. Does this look wrong? A little bit, yes. Okay. Mystery solved. Okay, we gotta lift it all up here too. Oh boy. So this means I have to fix up this particular strand of hair in 2 places. Sigh. Okay. Well, I can do that. I can do that. I can see why my past self thought that was probably all fine, but I do think it looks better being just a little bit raised up here. Yeah, and that matches up better with what I determined for this side too. That's a bit of a special movement though. Okay. So I guess I'll start lifting everything up again. Just go all the way through here. Try to find a spot where I don't feel like I have to raise the vertices quite as much. You can see I'm doing a little bit less with each one, because I do feel like the tip is in a pretty good spot. So I don't want to have to raise that any higher than I already have. Just want to make sure nothing feels like it's being stretched or compressed. And right now there's a couple little spots around here that I do feel like are being just a little bit stretched. So I want to work out all those little spots. I don't want to stretch out the vertices too much. That sounds like it'd be kind of painful. Okay, I think this looks fine. Now I just have to visit over here, where everything is squirming all over the place. And honestly, having 2 directions to look from is kind of nice in a lot of ways. It gives me lots of ideas on what I need to do in order to make this one look right. As before, when I only had one, it's like less points of reference. That's all it is. Less points of reference is truly a double-edged sword. Because on the one hand, it's a lot easier to get it looking right because there's just not as much you need to be looking at. Not as much you need to be comparing to. And not as much that you need to be lining up with other things. But on the other hand, it means you get less clues. So here I'm comparing it to the upward head turn again just because I feel like it's a little bit easier to understand. But I do want to compare it to the left head turn again soon. Once I start working out the top here. And start getting the right spot for just all these little vertices here. Okay, that's not right, but that's okay. Let me see how things are looking over here. Yeah, I think I have everything in about the right place here. Honestly, I just love this strand floating on her cheek there. When the rest of her hair isn't on, she gets like a funny cheek beard or something. Whiskers. Alright, so time to ask the mesh for its wisdom once more. Try to figure out why I am not satisfied with the current placement of the vertices. The mesh just always has all kinds of good ideas. You just have to learn how to speak triangle. So there, what the mesh was telling me was that I had the center line of vertices moving a little bit too far to the right. So I pushed them all to the left, and indeed, that actually did fix quite a lot of my problems. Just that little movement there. And what I was paying attention to was this one's a bit messier than a lot of my other ones, but I did try to keep a fairly straight, like almost spine going down the middle. So I can line it up somewhat that way. This one is just, unfortunately, not quite as accurate as some of the other ones. I think I made this mesh when I was a little bit more tired. It happens. Might be why it's taken me this long to come to an understanding with it. Where it actually will start moving nicely for me. Alright, so far so good. I think that might be where I end for today, though, and I'll finish adjusting everything for the left head turn tomorrow. Just get rid of all that stretching in the loop. I mean, I always like situations like this just because a lot of the stuff that I want to go and correct is always really subtle. But stuff like this, if you look along the loop here, I think the stuff like that is very visible, where it just doesn't look quite right. Where you can see, even though the chin is moving up, the top of this part here and the bottom of this part here is just barely moving at all. Gets stretched out a little bit, and the bottom just does not go up at all. And it looks very funny. Well, anyway. Thank you all for coming. If you'd like me to take a look at your own creative projects, whether that be art, writing, coding, game design, or any creative pursuit you can think of, feel free to message or at me on the social media platform of your choice. I will take a look and maybe leave some comments. I'll see you all tomorrow. Goodbye.